All right, everyone, welcome back to another module here in the Academy. Now, this is one I'm incredibly excited for, despite the topic, okay? Now, the reason I say this is because we're talking about cold calling, okay? Now, I can, without any hesitance or any doubt in my mind, say that cold calling is by far the most unpopular way of reaching out. And when I say unpopular, I mean unpopular amongst people who actually reach out, okay? I'm not talking about the people who accept outreach, like the people who receive it. I'm talking about actual salespeople, okay? If you read, no, I'm not going to pull up any book, but if you read virtually any book on outreach, and it includes email and cold calling and just all the different forms of outreach there are, all the professionals will say that, like all the professionals that have worked with sales professionals and trained up sales teams in big organizations, they'll always tell you in these books that the most difficult thing to get these sales professionals to do is to pick up the phone and call, okay? They'd much rather have physical meetings or send out emails or connect with people on LinkedIn, okay? Because these are things that are much easier to get your mind to do, okay? It's much easier to just sit down, take your time and write an email, okay? And granted, an email can be incredibly efficient, but it's just so important to diversify your outreach, okay? And by all means, listen to my words when I say that cold calling is, without a doubt, one of the most efficient ways of reaching out to potential clients today, okay? Now, I'll say the same thing for email, okay? And I'll say the same thing for LinkedIn. And that's because they have each and every one of their strengths. And what's important to remember with these different forms of outreaches are that, one particular business owner might respond well to cold calls. Another business owner might respond well to emails. Another one might respond well to LinkedIn messages, and the fourth one might respond well to Looms. Okay, so it's just so important to diversify your outreach methods and to literally test all of them out. Okay, and please just remember that cold calling is incredibly powerful, okay? And so when you're taught how to use the CRM tool, the free CRM tool that we give here in the Academy, you'll be taught how to keep track of your leads, okay, essentially. And so when you have leads that, so let's say you've emailed a lead, right, and they haven't responded to you, then you shouldn't just forget about that lead, right? That's why we keep track of our leads, right? So you'll move them on in the funnel as you'll learn in that module, and then say they haven't responded to your email after a week. Well, then you can cold call them because that particular business owner might respond, might have a much higher response rate if you actually cold call him instead of email him, okay? And so again, that's why it's so important that we diversify our methods of outreach. And guys, cold calling is incredibly powerful. I've seen it, and I'm not just saying this, I've seen it time and time again. Literally members of the Academy scale to just $10,000 per month just with cold calls, okay? I've actually interviewed an Academy member, Christian, who scaled his agency to, what was it? Because I'm trying to convert the currency, but it was around $12,000 to $13,000 in the span of 7 weeks just with cold calling. That was literally the only outreach method he used, okay? To go to around $12,000 in 7 weeks just with cold calling, okay? So that really goes to prove the power of cold calling. And what you hear time and time again in different communities and, in these different sales blogs, etc., is that, cold calling is an outdated form of outreach, and that couldn't be further from the truth, okay? Again, it's one of the most powerful methods of outreach to date, and I'll explain exactly why in this module. So what we'll actually go ahead and do in this module is I'll take you inside of the docs document, just like with the email module. I'll take you inside of the docs document where I'll walk you through an entire script, okay? And I'll also walk you through a bunch of important points that you need to remember when setting your mind right for cold calling, okay? Now, guys, I just want to stress before we get into this module, cold calling is how I got my first client, okay? So I'm really pro cold calling, okay? I'm really for cold calls. I've seen it happen. I've closed at least 5 clients for Stage Digital with cold calls, and that was when I was, in the beginning stages of starting up Stage Digital, right? That was my primary method of outreach. Later, I moved over to using more LinkedIn. I can see I have a meeting in 30 minutes, but that's fine. Later, I moved on to using LinkedIn and more email, etc. But in the beginning, my building blocks was cold calling, okay? That's how I got my agency started and lifted it off the ground, okay? So really don't disregard cold calling. And even though a lot of you might be scared to pick up the phone and call, you just have to get over that. And we'll walk you through exactly how to get over that and the kind of mindset you need to set in order to get yourself prepared for cold calling. Because believe me, when I first started my agency and cold calling was the primary method of outreach of mine, I was scared to death when I was doing my first couple of cold calls. Okay, so without any further ado, let's jump into the document and have a look at how to do efficient cold calling. Okay, all right guys, you should now be looking at the document, and as always, this resource will be linked below the module, so you can go ahead and utilize it. And when you want to customize it, just remember to click file and click make a copy, so you can make it your own, so you can actually go ahead and edit the document. Okay, now on the first page, what you'll find is why cold calling is so effective, the 5 key aspects that any good cold call must include, and then 10 important points to remember when going into cold calling. Okay, now I'll walk you through all of these in just a second. I just want to give you an overview of the full document, because below that you'll find the actual cold calling framework / script. Okay, and this consists of 2 major building blocks. So that's going to be getting past the gatekeeper, and then if you scroll down, you'll find this second building block, which is talking to the decision maker and actually scheduling the meeting. Okay, now I'll walk you through the whole script and exactly what those 2 building blocks mean in just a second. But let's start up here by walking through some of the most important points that go into cold calling. Okay, so first of all, why is cold calling so effective? Well, first of all, you can cover an incredible amount of ground in the matter of an hour. Okay, now what this means is obviously, when cold calling first emerged, it was an alternative to going door to door knocking on potential customers, doors and storefronts and even homes, right? And so this still holds true today. Your alternative with a lot of these businesses that you can reach through email, you can reach through LinkedIn, your alternative is literally to go on their door and knock, right? And you can maximum do 1 of those in an hour. Whereas when you're doing cold calling, you can cover so much ground in an hour, because if you make a list of leads in the evening and then you start cold calling, you start calling that list of leads during the day, then you can literally call, I'd say, 30 leads in an hour. Okay, now depending on how long your script is and how long you take for these calls and how much time you need to prepare yourself for each call mentally, but you can do anywhere from 5 to 30 cold calls per hour. Okay, 30 might be a little bit of a high shot, especially for those who are starting out, but you can easily set a goal of cranking out 10 cold calls in an hour. Okay, so yeah guys, that's just point number 1. You can really cover a lot of ground quite quickly with cold calling as compared to other outreach methods. Now, point number 2 is going to be that you can actually talk to people in real time, which is the closest thing you'll get to physical contact. Okay, so when you send out LinkedIn messages or Looms for that matter, even though Looms are very personalized, and even with emails, right? You're not gonna have you're not gonna be talking to a person real time, right? Even though Looms are incredibly personalized and you're actually sitting there and talking to them, none of these other 3 outreach methods are in real time. And that's why they can never get as personalized as a cold call will, because you're sitting and talking to the prospect in real time. That's just incredibly powerful. Okay. Point number 3 is by far the most personal and intimate form of cold outreach. Okay, so that just goes to really stress point number 2. This is, even though you can make an email incredibly personalized, and you can personalize a Loom to an insane extent, they will never get as personal as a cold call can get. And it's just the most intimate form of cold outreach, and that's why it can be so efficient with a certain business owners, right? Now, moving on down to the 5 key aspects that any good cold call must include. Number 1, a sort of surprising opener, so you diversify yourself from the mass. Okay, now what you'll like, the fact is, most of these businesses that you're going to be calling are getting a lot of cold calls. Okay, because there's a reason that you found the lead is probably because others were able to find that lead as well. Okay, unless you're searching in really good spaces, which of course we teach you in the academy, and you should always remember to go to page 3 of the results, page 5 of the results, page 15 of the results. Okay, don't just stop on page 1 and then go to the other lead sourcing method, right? We're showing you a bunch of different lead sourcing methods here in the academy. You should always remember to search them through carefully, right? If you do a LinkedIn search that yields 500 results, don't just take the leads from page 1, right? Go to page 15. Same goes if you're sourcing leads on Google or even myip.ms, right? Go to the last pages, go to the middle pages and source all the leads you can, okay? But essentially point number 1 is that you want a surprising opener so that you diversify yourself from the mass, because I can guarantee with most of the leads that you're gonna contact, no matter how rare this lead is, they'll have received a cold call before, okay? And probably quite a few cold calls. And so you just want to make an opener that diversifies you a little bit and gives you a little bit of originality, okay? And I'll show you how to do that in the script. Point number 2, the introduction. Okay, so this is who you are, what company you're with, and what you do. Okay, again, we'll cover this in the script. Point number 3, why you're calling, because you want to help them gain more clients, right? Again, we're going to go in depth with this in the script. And then point number 4, a pinch of scarcity to make the business owner want to work with you. Once again, including the script, and then the call to action. Okay, now what's important to remember with the call to action is that you're not closing a client here. Your goal is simply to schedule a meeting. Okay, this is very important, and it's also noted in the 10 important points to remember. It is that you're not calling with the intention of closing a client and accepting their payment. Okay, that's not your intention with this cold call. Your intention is literally just to schedule a meeting with them. Okay, and so for some of you, that might give you a little bit of peace of mind when you're actually, about to call a business, right? You're not trying to get money from them or close them on the spot. No, you just want to schedule in a nice 30 to 45 minute online Zoom meeting and talk things through. Okay, that's all you're doing. Okay, so it's not that intimidating really. Now let's walk through quickly the 10 important points to remember. Okay, number 1, no one finds cold calling particularly comfortable, but it just works. Okay, as I was explaining, with all the outreach books you'll read in your career as a salesperson, as an agency owner, you'll just notice that no one finds cold calling particularly nice. Okay, it's not something that anyone enjoys. It's not the Wolf of Wall Street where there's just these people who love cold calling and it's their passion and that's what they're born for. Okay, no one particularly enjoys cold calling. Okay, but it works, and that's why you need to suck it up and just get the cold calling in, diversify your methods of outreach, and for sure implement at least a little bit of cold calling into your portfolio of outreach. Okay, so yeah, point number 2 is that rejection is part of the process. It's natural human behavior. Just move on. Okay, you need to prepare yourself that you're going to get a lot of rejections when you cold call. Okay, that's just how it is. That's natural human behavior, and you just need to shrug it off your shoulders and move on. Okay, rejection is part of the process with cold calling. It's so normal, and no one is going to blame you for this rejection. No one is going to tell you that you're bad at cold calling. You're just going to get rejections, and that's how it is until you finally hit the sweet spot and you find someone who's interested, and that's when you close a client. Okay, so rejection is a natural part of the process. Just accept it and move on. Part number 3, you're not committing a crime here. You're actually doing the business a favor. Okay, now this one is also really, really important to remember. I see a lot of people being so intimidated about picking up the phone and calling because they think they're doing something bad here because there's this stigma around cold calling, right? But your mindset should be, okay, this business is clearly leaving a lot of money on the table by not doing social media marketing. So you'd actually be doing them a dishonor and a disfavor by not calling them and pitching your services to them, because you can actually help their business grow. Okay, that needs to be your mindset. You can't have this stigmatized mindset, which is, oh, cold calling is so stereotypical. It's so bad. It's this thing that annoys business owners. No, if you actually have value to offer and you can actually bring money on the table for the business owner, they'll be happy to accept your call and they'll be happy to work with you. Okay, so you're actually doing them a favor by doing this call, not a disfavor. Okay, you'd be doing them a disfavor by not calling them if you can bring value to them. Okay, which you can with the services that you're going to learn how to deliver in the academy. Okay, so it's that simple. It's really important that you get this into your head. Okay, point number 4, get in the zone, eliminate distractions, and set quantity goals, also known as the block. Okay, so again, you'll learn how to structure the amount of outreach you're going to do during the following modules here in the academy. But when cold calling, it's really important that you just sit down and set an hour aside to do it. Okay, don't do one cold call at a time. Don't set aside 15 minutes to do cold calls. Set aside at least an hour and set a quantity goal. Okay, so say in the next hour I want to do 5 cold calls. Okay, that you can start off with that goal. Then you can move on to, in the next hour I want to do 10 cold calls. Okay, set a quantity goal, and then put your phone, not on your phone on flight mode, because you're probably going to need your mobile to call them. But put your iPad on flight mode, put your computer on flight mode. Just put anything on flight mode, eliminate all distractions, tell your family or your friends that you're not going to be available, and then sit down for an hour and just do cold calls. Okay, that's going to be the only thing that you're focusing on for that hour, and you're not going to stop until you've hit your goal of either 5, 10, 15, or 20 cold calls, whatever that goal might be. You're not going to you're not going to stand up from your chair before you've reached your goal. Okay, so setting quantity goals and dedicating blocks to doing cold calls is a very good idea, and that's what all professional cold callers do. And point number 5 is going to be that the script is a tool, an extension of yourself, so you shouldn't limit yourself to it. Okay, also very important point, never limit yourself to the script. Never just stick to the script one-on-one. Okay, you're not just reading the script one-on-one, and then as soon as something goes another route or another direction that you had planned, then you're stuck. No, the script is a tool, and it's an extension of yourself that you can get inspiration from. Okay, and so for the most part, for the introduction, you can stick to the script, but quite quickly the call will go in an unexpected direction that you weren't planning, and so you have to adapt. Okay, and that's why you can't just stick to the script one-to-one, because you'll be lost quite quickly. Okay, so it's an extension of yourself. It's a tool that you use and that you get inspiration from. Okay, and you always have to adapt the script to your own personality, and you have to be agile enough to stray from the script as the call evolves. Okay, so moving on to point 6, when cold calling, write down every objection and get a pair it with an answer. Okay, also really important, as you do your first 10 cold calls, your first 20 cold calls, your first 30 cold calls, you'll get a bunch of objections. Simple one being, oh, we're not interested in the service. More complicated ones being, oh, we don't have time for this, or we're considering starting this in 3 months, right? There's going to be a bunch of different objections that you're going to get when you start cold calling. So every time you get an objection, write it down and then pair it with an answer. Okay, so think, oh, if I had the chance to redo this call, this is what I would have answered to this objection. Okay, do that with literally every single objection you get, and quite quickly you'll become a master at handling objections because you've actually written it down an answer for all of the most common objections. Okay, so point number 7 is going to be, you have nothing to lose by picking up the phone, but the world to gain. Okay, and by the world to gain, I mean you literally have nothing to lose with this call, right? But you have the world to gain. You can either schedule a meeting, or you could just get more cold call experience, right? Because every time you do a cold call, you'll become a better cold caller. It's that simple. Okay, so you have the world to gain, right? You could either schedule a meeting, which will be one step closer to closing a client, or you could just become a better cold caller, right? So you have everything to gain, but there's nothing to lose, right? You have absolutely nothing to lose by making that cold call. Okay, so it's that simple. Point number 8, breathe in and prepare to change someone's business for the better. Okay, now this one kind of goes back to point number 3 right here. You're not committing a crime here. You're actually doing the business a favor, right? So before you're doing a cold call, just breathe in and get yourself into the mindset that you're actually trying to change someone's business for the better. Okay, you're trying to do them a favor here. You're trying to work together to create something for this potential client. Okay, breathe in and just get that implanted into your head, because that will make you have a better attitude when cold calling, and just be less scared of what could go wrong. Okay, now point number 9 is always smile through the phone. It might not be seen, but it will be heard. Okay, so this is going to be the most simple tip I'm going to give you out of the 10, but it's really important. Okay, whenever you're on the phone, just smile, okay, because it will change your pronunciation and it will get the listener more engaged to what you're saying. Okay, it's a really good idea to just strive to smile throughout the entire cold call, because that will, as I said, have the listener much more engaged and will give you a much better chance of actually scheduling a meeting. So point number 10 here is going to be, you're not selling or asking for money, just offering to schedule a meeting. Okay, so by now you should have understood this point. You're not, trying to take money from this business owner immediately or to try to close them on the spot. That's not what you're calling to do. Okay, so just shake that fear out of your head. You literally are just trying to schedule a meeting. That's it. Okay, so just shrug all that fear off your shoulders and just get into the mindset. You're trying to bring value to this business owner, trying to grow their business, and you literally just want to schedule an online meeting with them to see what you can do for them. Okay, and to explain to them what you can do for them. That's your only goal with this cold call, okay? And then I left a bonus point right here, which is just dialing the number and press the green button and see where life takes you, okay? And this is a tip that I used a lot when I first, started cold calling back in boarding school. When I was cold calling my first couple of clients, I was probably cranking out, an average 10 to 20 cold calls per day back then. Now my tip was, my thing was, I'd actually create this little trick for myself, right? I would literally just dial in the number, and even though I was scared to death of making these calls, I just dial in the full number and then just press the green button. I take a deep breath and then I say to myself, okay, I'm gonna press the green button because, as I also just explained to you guys, I have nothing to lose by doing this, but I have the world to gain, right? I was making no money before I closed my first client with a cold call. So it's like, I have nothing to lose here, but the world to gain. If I close my first client, it could literally change my entire life situation, right? So just dial in the number and press the green button and just wait for that phone ring and just see where life takes you. Okay, it's going to be really, really scary the first couple of times, but believe me, once you get into your first cold call, yes, it'll be scary, but by the 5th, by the 10th, by the 15th, the 20th, the 50th cold call, you'll be a master at it and you'll be so comfortable with it, okay? And not only will you become a better cold caller, but this will actually translate into so many aspects of your life, because once you've kind of taken that step over to the other side of the bridge and you've made, I'd say 50 to 100 plus cold calls, you'll just become so open in so many aspects of life. And there's so many things that previously scared you in terms of just talking to business owners or just talking to people you don't know, that you no longer find scary at all. So actually, not only will you become a better cold caller, but I'm not exaggerating when I say you'll also become just a much more open and confident person in general in life when it comes to just talking about yourself or your business or talking to people you've never met before. You'll really get into that mindset and see that there's nothing to lose. It's not scary at all. It's literally just talking to a stranger that you haven't met before. And I know that can seem very, very scary in the beginning, but it's not once you've done it a couple of times. Okay. And so as I said, not only will you become a better cold caller gradually, but it'll translate into pretty much all aspects of your life, and you'll just become better at selling your service in general. Okay, so guys, those are going to be the 5 key aspects, the 10 important points plus the bonus point, and why the cold call is so effective. And so now, without any further ado, let's jump into the cold calling framework / script and break down exactly what a good cold calling script looks like and all of the different things you need to consider when actually calling up a business with a cold calling script and how to go about using that script. Okay, so I'm just going to restart the video now and I'll see you guys in a couple of minutes. All right, guys, I actually ended up just having a quick 20 to 25 minute meeting with one of my team members. So you might have seen it got a little bit darker outside. Regardless, we're back for part 2 of this cold calling module in the academy. And now we've gone through all the foundations, all the things you need to remember going into a cold call. And yeah, just the key aspects that go into a great cold call. And so what we're going to jump into now is the actual script. So without any further ado, you guys should now be looking at the script itself. And as you can see, if we go all the way up here, it's actually almost 3 pages long. Okay. Now, as I explained to you before, it consists of 2 major building blocks. So getting past the gatekeeper and talking to the decision maker. Okay. Now, essentially, to those of you who don't know what the gatekeeper is, that is the person that stands between you and the person who's actually responsible for making decisions. And it's the person that you can actually schedule in a meeting with, and hopefully the person that you'll end up closing. Okay, it's usually going to be the business owner, or in a bigger company, it'll be someone responsible for example, marketing, right? But yeah, in most cases for you guys, especially when talking to smaller or medium-sized businesses, in the end, you'll end up talking to the business owner, okay? But before you can talk to the business owner, usually what you'll have to pass is the gatekeeper, okay? Now, this can either be the business owner's assistant or just the person who responds to calls at the company, okay? And so, of course, it's very important that we manage to get past this gatekeeper and actually get a hold of the person in charge, the decision maker, okay? And so the first page of the script, as you can see, is all about getting past the gatekeeper. And then from there, we're talking to the decision maker, okay? And the rest of the script is all about, in the end, closing the meeting, okay? So we're gonna walk you through all 3 pages right now, starting with getting past the gatekeeper. So what we're actually gonna do is jump straight into the script. And as you can see, the first sentence right here is already, "Hi, Dentacare, this is Amy speaking," okay? So what I want you guys to kind of imagine here is that this is a little role play, okay? Obviously, I'm gonna assume the role of both the gatekeeper and myself calling as the agency owner. But essentially, the first sentence is, "Hi, Dentacare, this is Amy speaking," and this is because the kind of example that we're taking in this particular script is that we're calling down to a dental clinic, okay? Now, obviously, it's important that you guys remember that you can adapt this script to any business in any different industry, and that you should always adapt the script. As I explained previously, you're not going to be following the script one-to-one, okay? This is a very particular example. It includes words like clinic, okay? Because this example is tailored for a dental clinic, right? But if you're calling someone selling electric skateboards, then you're not gonna be referring to their business as a clinic, because it's not a skateboarding clinic, right? So it's really important that you always tailor the script to whatever business you're calling, and just personalize it to make it your own, okay? So without any further ado, let's get into this role play, and I'll assume both roles of the gatekeeper and myself. Now, one thing that's really important for me to stress is that anytime you see that the writing is in bold and italics like this, it's because that we want to put extra pressure or just extra energy into the pronunciation of that particular sentence or those particular words, okay? And so as I'm reading through the script, you're gonna see that whenever the text is in bold and italics, I'm gonna change up my tonality just a slight bit, okay? And you guys are gonna hear this quite clearly. And it's because there's some key words that we want to kind of just change our tonality on a little bit and just lift our voice or make it deeper in certain areas. Because by doing this gradually throughout the course of the cold call, you'll keep their attention, okay? So you keep the listener engaged, okay? It's a really good way to do this, okay? And so that's why you see me implement these bold and italics in certain parts. And I want you guys to do the same, okay? So when you customize the script, when you make it your own, when you tailor it to the business you're calling, I want you guys to analyze the script before you actually use it, and then go through it and say, this one, I want to change up my tonality. Here, I want to lift my voice a little bit. Here, I want to have an extra just deep meaning in what I'm saying, okay? So it's really important to just go through your script. Of course, you're gonna learn this as you use it more and more times. These scripts, like this is a particular example that I've created for the academy, but it's very close to the script that I've used literally to call hundreds of different businesses cold calling, okay? And so as you cold call more and more, you're gonna get used to it, and you're gonna know your script in and out, and that's when you're gonna know when to kind of change up your tonality, okay? But in this particular script, I'm just gonna highlight those examples by putting them in bold and italics, and then you're gonna hear that as I'm actually going through it, okay? So yeah, let's just start by going through it, and I'll highlight anything important as we go through, okay? So yeah, gatekeeper, hi, Identicare, this is Amy speaking. Okay, and then you go, hi Amy, my name is Sandra. I'm actually calling with Stacey Little regarding you guys' current social media marketing strategy. Now, I'm guessing you're not exactly the right person to talk to regarding this, and please correct me if I'm wrong, but I'd absolutely love it if you could point me in the direction of the person responsible for your social media, or just the person who makes the decisions in this area at the clinic, okay? So guys, you're really just kind of being nice to her, giving her an opener that throws her a little bit off guard. Remember that slightly surprising opener. And the way we do this is by saying, now I'm guessing that you're not exactly the right person to talk to regarding this, and please correct me if I'm wrong, right? So you're saying, you're obviously assuming and telling her that she's not the person to talk to regarding social media marketing, but you're also saying, correct me if I'm wrong, right? So that might put a smile on her face, throw her a little bit off guard, catch her a little bit off guard, and just, yeah, seem a little bit surprising to her, okay? So that's our opener, okay? That's our great introduction right here. And yeah, essentially with this opener, we're getting to the point immediately, which is that we want to talk to the person who makes decisions in this area, or the person who's responsible for their social media, okay? So we're not really playing around here. We're getting straight to the chase. We want to talk to the person that's responsible for this.